Hey, guess what? It's not Kate Watson today. It's Mrs. Schumann in your math video today. Now, you'll still be taking notes and practicing problems, but we're not doing your typical math video today. Why not? Because right now, we are pausing to talk about some third grade concepts. Now, in order for you to be a Module 3 fourth grade expert, you have to be expert at things like multiplication skills, area, and perimeter. And some of us have a little bit of practice with that. But while you were learning these concepts in the third grade, COVID struck and school let out, and you didn't get to finish all of these really interesting, fascinating lessons that are going to make you prepared for fourth grade. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a little bit of Module 3, and then we're pausing to build some third grade knowledge that we missed. And then we're doing a little bit of Module 3, and then we're pausing and building more background knowledge from the third grade. Now, if you feel like this work is too easy for you, you've got it, and you're ready to move forward, after you finish today's assignment, I encourage you to do your bonus challenge or go into your virtual hallway and practice some of those skills in there. But for now, let's have conversations about perimeter. Perimeter is the total of the lengths of each side of a polygon, a closed shape. So we could find the perimeter of four-sided quadrilaterals like this one, this rectangle, but we could also find the perimeter of three-sided shapes like this triangle, or six-sided shapes like this hexagon. We can even find the perimeter of irregular polygons like this one right here. The only rule to finding perimeter is that it has to be a closed shape, no open gaps. But once it's closed, no matter how many sides it is or no matter how odd it looks, we can find the perimeter of that shape. Let's start by looking at this triangle right here. The reason why I want to start with this shape is because we have all of the sides already labeled for us, unlike some of these quadrilaterals like this rectangle. Now, when we're finding the perimeter of three-sided shapes, five-sided shapes, six-sided shapes, an easy way that works for each and every type of polygon is simply by adding up each of our sides. 11 plus 12 plus 5. Once we find the total of all three sides, then we know the perimeter. Let's do some adding together. Go ahead and get out that scratch paper or that whiteboard, whatever you use to take notes, and let's practice this one as a group. I'm going to start with my two largest numbers. That's how I prefer to add multiple numbers, is get my difficult numbers out of the way, add my easier numbers last. So I'm adding 12 plus 11. 2 ones plus 1 1 is 3 ones. 110 plus 110 is 2 tens. And once I've added these two sides, the only side left for me to add is my 5. 23 plus 5 more. 3 plus 5 is 8. 2 plus 0 is 2. The perimeter of this shape is 28. Now keep in mind, if my labels include units, then my answer also needs to include units. The units in this triangle is MI, which stands for miles. You can either copy the exact letters that they used, or if you want to take it a step further, you can write the whole word miles. But sometimes adding up a perimeter is not as simple as this triangle. This triangle was kind to us because we knew all of the side lengths. And if we know all of the side lengths, then all we have to do is plug it into an equation and add. But what happens if we get a shape and we don't know what the length of each side is? How are we supposed to find the perimeter? Let's look again at this first shape. 9 by 6. It's a rectangle, it's a quadrilateral. And a lot of mistakes that I've been seeing is that we're only adding up the sides that are labeled. For example, you notice that this is labeled 9 feet and this is labeled 16 feet. So if you add 9 plus 6, that equals 15, So my perimeter is 15 feet? Not quite, because we still have 2 additional sides that we need to add together. I know in a rectangle, the opposing sides are the same length. If our top length is 9 feet, then our bottom length is also 9 feet. And if my side length is 6 feet, my other side length is 6 feet. I can't add together all of the lengths of a shape unless I know all of the lengths of a shape. So now that I know what all 4 sides of this quadrilateral are, I can add these numbers together. I like adding my pairs first, so I'm going to start with 9 plus 9, which equals 18. And I'm going to add 6 plus 6, which equals 12. And now I can take the lengths added together and the widths added together and find my total perimeter. 8 ones plus 2 ones is 10 ones. I can't fit all 10 ones there, so I need to regroup my extra 10. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So the perimeter of this shape is 30 feet. Now that's one way to find the perimeter of this shape. But you're in 4th grade now, which means that you can find the perimeter using a slightly more advanced number sentence. So let's start over with this shape, but use a different method of finding perimeter. Now there are some pros and cons to using this different method. One pro is that it's much more efficient. You're not doing nearly as much adding as you would in the other perimeter equation. But there are some cons to it as well. For one, if we're using a number sentence like this, it only works on 4-sided shapes like squares and rectangles. Why is that? Because we're adding the length plus the width 2 times, which means that this length has to be the same as this length. And this width has to be the same as this width. That's the only way we can make this number sentence work for perimeter. So if you want to use this method, that's fantastic. What a great way to stretch your 4th grade brain. But your warning is that you can only use this perimeter method when you have squares and rectangles. Otherwise, it might not work out the same way. But for now, I have a rectangle, so this number sentence is going to work. Instead of finding perimeter by adding 9 plus 6 plus 9 plus 6, I can find perimeter by only adding 9 and 6 one time and multiplying that by 2. Because here's one group of 9 plus 6, and here's 2 groups of 9 plus 6, just like this number sentence says. So let's clear my screen, and now that we have our numbers, let's plug it in and solve. Our goal is to get 30 feet, just like we did with our first method. If we get 30 feet again, we know that both methods work to find perimeter. Now 9 plus 6 equals 15. Now I'm going to multiply by 2. 15 times 2 is the same as saying 2 groups of 15. 15 plus 15. And I know that 15 plus 15 gives us 30. So just like the first time we found perimeter of this shape, the perimeter using our second method is also 30 feet. Notice that I'm still using my labels when I put my answer in. You'll have the same expectation when you work on this as well. So now let's stop this video and start the next job of your math assignment, which is solving the perimeter of shapes. Let's explain what you're going to be working on today. Today you're going to be finding the perimeter of 10 different shapes. Some of the shapes are going to be four-sided squares and rectangles like this one. When you have squares and rectangles like this, or this, or this, then you can find perimeter by either adding up all of the sides, or you can use the multiplication sentence we just practiced in the last example. Keep in mind though, if you're adding up all the sides, you need to know all of the lengths of all four sides before you begin adding. You're also going to be finding the shapes of different polygons like this three-sided triangle, or this five-sided polygon, or this six-sided hexagon. For shapes like these, do not use your multiplication sentence that we practiced. Instead, add up all of the sides all together to find your answer. Remember that you're going to be writing not only the number, but the unit of the length, whether it's miles, feet, or yards. If you're looking at a unit like this and you don't know what the unit is, just write the same letters in your answer that's in the side lengths on the shape. Please remember today that all of our conversations have been about perimeter. You are not responsible for finding the area of any of these shapes today. And I don't want you to, because you haven't done double-digit multiplication in 4th grade yet. So I don't expect you to try and multiply 84 times 72 if we haven't learned to do that yet. Your only job is to add up all of the sides of your shapes. Now it's your turn. Go on to Seesaw and add a response. You're going to be seeing all of these shapes in your response, and it'll be your job to find the perimeter of them. Since we've already practiced 2 of them together, you can simply take a picture of the notes you were taking while you did this video and upload that to the first 2 slides. Now all you'll have to do is solve the other 8. So, good luck!